Hello. Welcome. I'm going to whiz through the starting bit really quickly because I'm only going to be on for about an hour or so. I'm going to do another stream later on this evening, most likely, but I'm just doing a quick bit of streaming before dinner times this evening. Hopefully you can see me and hear me okay. Hello everyone, welcome. It's a last minute live stream. If you're not sure what's going on, because it's Saturday and not Sunday, thankfully, luckily good things have happened, and I'm going to tell for tomorrow. I'm going to the model show tomorrow, yes. I'm going down with Dad and Dave. So big thank you to Dad for doing lots of driving for me. I am able to go down. Some numbers were checked in bank balances and some other bits and bobs, and it does seem that I can go. So I'm going tomorrow, which means I can't do Warhammer Sunday. So I'm going to give you some stuff today instead. I've got lots of Warhammer Conquest things to build. So I'm just going to be doing that. I want to get some. Would have been doing that today anyway. So my plan is just hang out with you guys. I say it's only going to be a quick. What time is it now? It's 20 to 5. Quick hour and a half maybe now before I sort dinner out, and then I'll come back later in the evening and we'll do another one. But it's not going to be a long stream later on because Dad is Mike Mountain, or AKA Dad, is picking me up at 6:30 in the morning. That's not even a real time. It's like my watch doesn't even do 6:30. It just goes from like 1 in the morning and suddenly it's 9 in the morning. That's how my watch works. There's nothing goes on there after 6:30. I don't know. So I can't be up too late tonight. So yes, as always. But I'll rush through the introductions as always. Live stream. Or Gutham's here. Hello Gutham. I'm looking at your chat here on an iPad. If you want to get my attention, do it in big fat capital letters, or you can do the stream the super chat, which is the dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. I've not taken the Warhammer Sunday logo off. That was clever. Well done. It's kind of Warhammer Sunday. Never mind. I forgot to change that bit. I've just spent half an hour setting up the stream with different titles and stuff. I'll sort that later. Yes, if you want to get my attention, put it in capital letters in chat. You can do the super chat, which is the dollar symbol. That puts a coloured box up so I can't miss it. Or if you want, you can. If you want to, you can send me an email. My email address is always on screen here, fox@modelmakingguru.com. Is that the one? Yes, fox@modelmakingguru.com. But I don't always have a chance to see the email while I'm streaming. So you can if you want, but it's worth a try. As always, stream boss battle. Try and get Cy Reynolds, who's in chat at the minute, get his health down. You come in up to 500 quid's worth of awesome Games Workshop stuff. Do it through Super Chats and Tip Jar tips. Tip is here. Tip Jar is there. Streamlabs.com/modelmakingguru. That's going to do it. Quick shout out to all my patrons who support me. Quick shout out to eModels, my sponsors. Link in the description below, your one-stop shop for your model making needs. And very quick shout out to Goblin Gaming, my other supportive retailer who supports this channel. Again, link in the description below the video. Use the link down there for both of them. It tells them that I sent you and I get a little bit of income from that. So you're helping out the channel. Right, that's that. Cup of tea ready. Not even a full-size cup of tea today because I'm in a rush. Quick look at chat. Very quick look. Pascal was the first in, but I did a kind of 1 minute long pre-stream because I had the wrong title card. So he said hello on that, and then I stopped it. So technically he was the first. There you go. Cy Reynolds was then the second first, who said first. But anybody who says first gets discounted because if you say first as your comment, that's like very 1998. So that's instant discounts. Technically George was the first because he says need a title change. So I'll let George be the first because he didn't say first. Don't say first. This is not AOL online, you know. You've not dialed up. It's not like AOL, what were they called? Villages or towns or whatever. God, you remember that? Let's have a look. George and Kev Reynolds, Cy Reynolds, and Chris at Gross Models. 3 of them are your mods. They are in. Welcome, chaps. Chris won't be around much. He's at work, but he'll be closing up and going home soon. We have Eric Graham is in. Welcome, Eric. Totimo Gagin says, I got my first minis the other day and realised just how mini they are. If they're Warhammer, they're a little bit bigger than other things, like D&D ones are even smaller. So it depends what they are. But yeah, they're not big. Anyone know Games Workshop return policy? It doesn't say on the receipt, says George. Yeah, just drop them an email. They usually either take it back to the store or drop them an email. They're very, very good. They've got awesome customer service at GW. Oh, well, I pressed a button. That was wrong. Who else have we got in? Lynn Dipple is in. Hey, Lynn. He says, I'm going to be very sad. I'm not going to have anything to watch this weekend. I'm also going to be mad that I can't make Telford this year and meet all crazy eModels gang. There's always another time. Yes, there is. You'll have me today and this evening as well. Mama Fox is making trumping noises outside my door. She's farting noises at me. Hello, Mama Fox. She's ignoring me now. I think she's got her headphones on because she's watching telly. Let's have a look. Edward Landed is in. Evening all, we'll be in and out cooking for my son-in-law's grandmother's 100-year-old birthday party this afternoon. Happy birthday to your son-in-law's grandmother being 100 years old. Has she got a telegram from the Queen, or letter from the Queen yet? That's awesome. Lots and lots of happy returns, obviously, to your son-in-law's grandmother's 100-year-old birthday party. Wow, you're having cake and jelly and stuff. Yeah. So awesome. Happy birthday. 100 years old. I'll never get that old. I'll never last that long. We have Frankie Goes to Hobbywood. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Edward. And happy birthday to the young lady, says Frankie. 100 is something else, says Gagin. My regards. Eon's Car says, and finally it starts. Yeah, I did debate whether or not to do the 15-minute countdown, but I had stuff to do because it was all last minute, because it's a last-minute stream. So, yeah. Hence the fact I forgot to take the logo off, the Warhammer Sunday logo off. I had to rebuild the whole profile in my streaming software to do this. So I've just spent the last hour doing all that first. It's a lot of work, goes into this. Edward Leonard, thanks. And yes, 100 isn't an easy feat. Eon's Car says, oh, it didn't work. Oh, wait there. I've got to fix my buttons. Oh, gosh darn it. Where's my buttons? Let me kill that and let me turn that off. Oh, I'm not having that. I'm not having technological difficulties with the buttons. I need my buttons to live. Right. Buttons active. There we go. Anyway, what was I saying? I said, Eon's Car says, slap it on. Because of course he does. I've got the button. I've set that button up. When I set up this new profile and buttons and stuff, yeah, I set that one up. I did. Fox pushes buttons and Chris comes on. Who else have we got very quickly? I know I'm talking really fast. I'm just rushing through it because we've only got really an hour and a bit. Eon's Car. Hello, Fox. Cy Reynolds. Ruffle. He said he's got things to build, but he's feeling ambitious, folks. Yeah. Yeah, I'm optimistic. Telford this year, meet your old crazy models gang. There's always another time, says Lynn again. Bizarrely, I think you copied and pasted that. Oh no, I'm jumping around in the chat. Chris is also picking up Paul at 6:30. Yeah, 6:30 is not a real. There's not such time as 6:30. Frankie Goes to Hobbywood says, I got myself the red gobbo or da red gobbo today from my local Warhammer store. Yes, orcs are cool. Hello, Mama Fox.
Eh?
Hello, Mama Fox.
Hello.
I told everybody you trumped at me.
What?
I told everybody you trumped at me.
Aha.
Let's have a look. Gross Model says Soup Cat. You can't say Soup Cat. You are not the person that says Soup Cat. Who else have we got? Bench and Belly says Eon's Car. There you go, because Dad's not here. Because Dad's probably driving back from Telford as we speak. So he says, Eon's Car says, bench and belly. So yeah, what's on your bench, what you're working on, and what's in your belly, what you're having for your dinner. Not the 2-litre one, he says. No, I didn't have time because that one's in the wash. So this is my, you can't see it, but it's a tin mug and it's my Land Rover Series 1, 2 and 3 Haynes manual mug. It's best mug in the world, that. Proper builder's tea in a tin mug. Proper good stuff. I've spied potentially the finest mug I have ever spied, says Siren. Oh, I guess just relating to that then. Yes, Land Rover Series 1, 2, 3. 1958 to 1985 up to C registration Haynes manual cover. Yes, best car in the world. Cy Reynolds says, for returns for Games Workshop, take it store, take it in, rejoice at the ease of it, online, chuck them an email and they should resolve it. Yes, when I got sent the wrong... Well, when I went to the Forge World store, I know Forge World is a different branch of it, but when I went to Forge World and got the Macarius Vanquisher, and they gave me completely the wrong tank, and I got home and was like, oh, it's the wrong one. I dropped them an email. They said, not a problem at all. Return that one to us, and we will replace it free of charge. I posted it back to them. I sent them a photograph of the thing saying, here it is, it's posted and it's tracked and signed for. Within 5 minutes of me sending that email, I got a thing saying, your order has been dispatched. And they basically sent me the replacement. They took it on trust that I would send it back. Forge World and GW, their customer service is fantastic. It is some of the best customer service I've ever, and I'm not sponsored by, there's no ASCIIs in it. They genuinely do have some of the best customer service you'll ever come across. So if you've bought something you don't really want, it's not open, you take it back to the store. If you got it online, they'll probably just say send it back. You might even get the postage back from them. Let's have a look. Very weak tea, says Stuart Hislop. What are we doing tonight? Hi, Stu. I'm going through my Warhammer Conquest. The next one up is issue 30, which is some Rise of Ruins, which should take me like about 5 minutes. And I've got some others to do. It's what I would have been doing tonight anyway, because my Saturday, Sunday is Warhammer time and I need to catch up with the building of the Conquest stuff. But I thought I'll stream it now and later on this evening, because I'm not going to be around tomorrow, so got to give you something to watch at the weekend. Lynn says, "Hi Mama Fox, hope you are well." She doesn't actually watch this stream, so she won't get that, but thank you. I'll tell her, I'll pass that on when I go down. Let's have a look. George isn't going to return anything. We know this, says Chris. Yeah, I don't actually believe for 1 minute that George is actually going to return some Games Workshop merchandise that he's purchased. Sai says, "Yep, just take it back in. As long as nothing's been taken off the sprue and there's no direct issue with the kit, you'll get it returned or refunded." He says, "Got Blood of the Phoenix, but I've decided I want to focus on Sigmar. I need a Gothizar Harvester for my Golden Demon entry." Yeah, if you've not done anything with it, they'll refund it. Or they'll either refund it or swap it for something else, whichever you prefer. They are very, very good. Assuming it was a Games Workshop store, if it was a real world store, then assuming it was a Games Workshop store, not a third-party store. Or if you bought it online, yeah, they'll just ask you to send it back. You might have to cover the postage cost, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Who else we got in? I don't think there's anybody else in chat at the moment. There are currently 33 of you watching. There was 14 a minute ago. Welcome to all 33 of you. If you are watching and you're not in the chat, do feel free. The chat's here on screen. There you can see it on the telly. But do feel free, if you're watching on a mobile device, it might be scroll up a bit, it might be under the video. But if you're watching it somewhere else, click the YouTube icon that's down here, and it'll whiz you over to the YouTube page where you can join in the live chat. Still in the plastic wrap. I bought it at the local GW store. You'll be fine. Take it back in, not a problem. They'll refund it or replace it, whatever you want them to do. They will bend over backwards to make you happy. Fox, I haven't got my coin yet. Have they been sent? Did I send them? I don't think I've sent them yet. Oh no, they're still in there. Yeah, when I send out stickers and stuff, I was actually going to say I'm not going to be doing stickers for a little while because I've got so many people to send stickers out to. I'm getting a bit backlogged, so I might lay off the stickers for a little bit. Yeah, when I send stickers out, it's like once every 6 months. So don't panic, they're still there. It might just take months for me to get round to doing it because I build up a big pile of stuff to post out, and then I go to the post office and say, right, here's £100, please mail out all these envelopes. yeah, that's why I leave it for a while. Let's have a look. Hello, says Gabrielle Hernandez, watching from Texas, USA. Welcome, Gabriel. Gabriel or Gabrielle? I don't know, could be either. Gabriel. I mean, it could be either. Let me know. Anybody else new in? Captain Nemo's in. Oh, yes, because I've answered you already. Yeah, so if you are watching, do feel free to come and join the chat. You don't have to. You do not have to. Linda was asking Gabriel or Gabriel. Do let me know. I assume it's Gabriel. Asking Gabriel what part of Texas. Because Lynn's local to that. Oh, thanks, buddy. I won't be living in this house after Christmas. Oh, okay. In that case, if you know where you're going, send me an email. But if you don't know where you're going, send me an email when you know. In fact, send me an email today just to say don't post the coins out yet until I give you a new address, just to be safe. Because then if I do go through it like in 3 weeks' time, I'll be like, oh, stop, and then I know to wait. Then San Antonio is Gabriel. Cool. Right, so yeah, what's on your bench? What are you working on? What's in your belly? What have you had for your dinner? What are you planning for your dinner? I am planning Chinese, yes. It's the time for the wonton soup and the Japanese beef udon. That's my dinner tonight. So if you are going to Telford tomorrow, it is entirely possible that I might have a little bit of a belly on me if I've had lots of udon tonight. So, yeah, I'll try my best not to get lumpy, but I can't make any promises. Because, udon, it's illegal to not eat udon. Especially big fat beef udon. It's just actually illegal to not eat those. And if I have the wonton soup, then I have to get a portion of shumai as well to put in the wonton soup. Because that's illegal not to do that. God, notice how I'm using the big, happy Games Workshop steel cable cutters here, and not my delicate god hands, because this stuff is like, yeah, that's some heavy shizzle right there. What's Fox doing today anyway, says Chris at Gross Models. Haven't I said that 3 times already? I'm just catching up on my Warhammer Conquest. This is issue 30's plastic. It's the Riser Ruins. I've got up to issue 50, issue 62, I think. I'm up to. I've received up to issue 61 or 62. 62, I think. And my plan is, I was going to be sort of slowly going through, showing you how to paint them like the magazine says. And then later on repainting them properly and doing some proper paint jobs on some of the main character builds. However, I've changed that now. What I'm going to do, because I'm so far behind, is I am simply going to get everything built. So the weekend work is going to be Warhammer Conquest, getting all the bits built and ready. And then when the subscription actually finishes and we've had all 80 issues, I will then batten down and start the filming. But I'm not going to be doing the how to paint it like the magazine anymore. I'm going to give that up because there's no point. There's no point me showing you how to paint when the magazine tells you exactly how to do that anyway. I'll just paint everything properly. Does mean I've got to strip down a lot of the stuff I already painted. That's fine. Not a big problem. So yes, it does mean I'll show you how to properly paint. Not just Lieutenant Calcium. Yeah, eventually, at some point. But all the things. Eon's Car says, Fox is going to do a lot of mould line removing from the Riser Ruins. Yeah, I've done Riser Ruins before, and they are actually an immense pain in the ass. They actually are. These aren't fun, because it's all mould lines, and they're so thick, it takes loads of effort, so I wasn't sure that I'd actually get these done in an hour and a half. Because, yeah, they're just made of pretty much mould lines and enormousness. So, yeah. I remember the last time I did some of these, it wasn't enjoyable. Because it was real proper hardcore. Just pass me a bandsaw. There you go. This is why I'm not being careful cutting these off the sprues. I'm not bothered about nubs. Because if I can get rid of most of the nubs right now, with these big honking chonker clippers, I'll do that. Let's have a look. This ain't a Cesabi, says George. Nope. Weekend is Warhammer stuff. Monday to Friday is non-Warhammer stuff now. I've had to create myself a sort of a rule so I actually get some work done. So Monday to Friday is your Cesabi. All the decals are done now on the Cesabi. So Monday it'll be paint chipping and bits and bobs. So Monday to Friday is anything except Warhammer. Unless there's nothing else to do, you know. Assuming that the stuff I need to build isn't Warhammer, of course. Monday to Friday is normal stuff. And Saturday, Sunday is my army. Warhammer army. Or, if I'm doing Conquest, then I'll do Conquest. Which means at the minute, Monday to Friday is the Cesabi. And then when that's done, it'll be Monday to Friday. It'll be the Millennium Falcon. He said, being optimistic that it'll get the Cesabi done, you know, before 2025. Sorry, George. Yes, I've had to put my foot down and just make a routine for myself. Otherwise, it will take me literally forever more to finish your Cesabi. So I've made that rule. That's why I'm no longer going to be filming. The Cesabi was a Patreon exclusive video build series. I've knocked that on the head. I'm just going to get it finished. I'm not going to film the build or live stream that anymore because it's getting in the way now. I need to get it finished for you. Knife time. Gabriel Hernandez says, nice, Fox, I just started getting into Warhammer and committed to starting Necrons. Any tips? You've found yourself the easiest units to paint, or some of the easiest units to paint, because Necrons are dead easy. Now, I'm not going to assume, I'm not going to assume that you're using Games Workshop paints, but if you do, it's quite simply lead belcher, Norn oil, dry brush with Necron compound. There you go, your silvers are done. You can go more into depth than that if you want to. You can do, you know, different shades of brown shades or green shades for them to be aged. You can do all different details and stuff, but that's why they're so simple to paint, because even just a simple thing like that, which is basically silver, black wash, dry brush with a brighter silver, even just something as simple as that gets all the metallics looking nice and cool. There's all other details you can paint on there, of course, like eyes and different colours, but for the rank and file. Even just that makes them look good on the tabletop. But you can spend a lot more time, obviously. Are you actually going to play them, or are you just going to make them for the fun of it? Oops, nearly Stabberty. Let's have a look. Mold lines and flash. I feel spoiled by Bandai's kits. Yeah. That's why I love Bandai, because you can take the thinking out of model making. I've said this many times before, and I'll always say it. I'm not a maker. I mean, I'm not a builder. I'm a painter. So, you know, Bandai to me is like, oh, I can just ignore all the stuff I don't enjoy doing. But I don't mind Games Workshop stuff, because it is a joy to build, apart from the mould lines on this, which is a ball leg. But they are fun, because I know the painting on these is going to be outstanding. Which is weird, because on Bandai, the building becomes interesting to me because it's so straightforward, but the painting becomes a pain in the bum because it's a living nightmare sometimes on Gunpla. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place, really. Ozzy Deschapelle, welcome Ozzy, says, hi folks, why does Citadel not use normal names for their paint colours? All the paint names are relevant to things in the game. They all mean something in 40k lore, or even Warhammer lore, basically, Sigmar or 40k. For example, Mephiston Red is named after somebody called Mephiston. Nah, that was the wrong choice. Let's have a look. I'm trying to think of one now. Like things like Abaddon Black is named after a character called Abaddon. Let's have a think. Necron Compound is a dry brush paint that was designed when it's ideal for Necrons. And Necrons are one of the factions in the game. Let's have a look. Evil Sons Scarlet, that's named after an orc clan called Evil Sons. Nuln Oil is named after Bob Nuln, obviously, says Totemo Gaijin. Nuln Oil is named on a place called Nuln, where Nuln Oil is made. That's why. It's a fictional city called Nuln, where they make this oil. And that's where Nuln Oil comes from. So all the names have a relevance. They're either, it relates to a character or a faction or a place. Let's have a think now. Griff Charger Grey. That's a Griff Charger is a kind of mount, kind of beast that this in Age of Sigmar that people ride around on. Let's have a look else. I'm just looking at some of my paints now. They're in front of me. Let's have a look. That I know about. That I know what they mean. There's lots of names that I don't know what they mean, but I know they all relate. There's a paint called White Scar, which is white, but White Scar is a Space Marine chapter. So they've all got some relation to something in the lore. But yeah, they do come out like just completely stupid. which is why if you watch any of my videos, I often put up little fake. Like if you watch one of the Warhammer TVs, they pop up the colour name in the corner. I put fake ones up just to make it funny. And people who don't watch all my stuff all the time are like, what's that all about? Let's have a look. I read that as why does Fox not use normal names? Dawn Yellow, I'm going to guess Dawn is after Rogel Dawn, the Primarch. Is he Primarch, Rogel Dawn? Lead Belcher, I think that's to do with dwarves. And obviously guns that belch out bullets, as in they belch out lead. Gulliman Blue is named after the Primarch of the Ultramarines, says Sirens. Yep, Reboot Gulliman. Yeah, they've all got names relating to stuff. Carolina Roberto, welcome Carolina, says, where did I get my knife? This is a bog standard. I've covered up the name now. It's a bog standard Swan Morton surgical knife. You get it from any craft store. I got this from Hobbycraft, a UK craft store. And I got a big mess of blades for it from one of my followers who sent them all to me. Let's have a look. Yeah, Rogel Dawn is a Primarch. Yes, I thought it was. These are standard Bugman's pub quiz questions, amusingly. Yes, Bugman's being the bar, cafe bar at Warhammer World. Bobby G. Who's Bobby G? Oh, Reboot Gulliman. Why the hate for Bobby G, says George? Because a lot of people really can't stand Ultramarines, I actually don't really care, but I like to go along with the meme. That a lot of people really don't like what happened when the Ultramarines came in and how they changed the codex and how they're always like the golden boys. You know, apparently in the fiction there's a lot of situations where a chapter will get into a situation and it's like they can't possibly win, they're going to be destroyed, and then there's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina at the very end and the Ultramarines come in and save the day, and it's like, oh god, really again? So there's a lot of love-hate with Ultramarines and with Matt Ward, the guy that invented them. Because if my understanding is correct, Matt Ward was one of the writers that used to write a lot of fluff and codex and stuff like that and guides, and he invented the Ultramarines and then decided to inject them into everything, and a lot of people didn't like them at all. And the fact that they're the poster boys now, so they're on all, whenever you see anything, it's always Ultramarines this and Ultramarines that. It's like, God, can we just not? So I don't really have any feelings either way. I just like to play up to the joke, basically. A lot of people kind of thought they were like a bit childish, and the fact that whatever happened, he could just write in new fluff that explained why they were better than all the other chapters and factions, the chapters and successor chapters. And Gulliman was like, "Oh look, here comes Reboot Gulliman to save the day," because of course he does, because he's the Ultramarines Primarch, and therefore it has to be Reboot Gulliman that comes in and saves the day rather than anybody else. So yeah, there's a lot of burn for against Ultramarines. I just think they look a bit boring. I'm not really bothered about the fluff, but from a visual point of view, I don't think they're that interesting to look at. There's a lot more interesting colour schemes out there. Sim Racer Flight Sim 1000 is in. Welcome, Sim Racer Flight Sim 1000. I may have to shorten that. Cy Reynolds says, sadly I can probably point out all the lore links. Yes. And blame Matt Ward, says Eon. Yeah. Bobby G sounds like a grey stew, and then he tries to correct it to grey. I think what you mean is a Mary Sue. Yes. Ultramarines are like an epic biblical Mary Sue, is what I think what you're trying to say. Yeah, so that's what I meant. That's what I was trying to say, is they are like Matt Ward's wet dream Space Marines, and he just injected them into everything. And a lot of people apparently were not that keen on the fluff and rules that he brought in when he was writing for them. A lot of people really didn't like the stuff he was creating. Outside of the Ultramarines, they didn't like a lot of the stuff. He retconned a lot of things, apparently, and again, I don't really know. This is what I've read in my learnings. So there's a lot of distaste for what he did to the lore. And then he left and everybody was happy, and then he came back again. They were like, oh. So if you ever watch one of my videos and I say something about Ultramarines and it does that little close-up of the guy in the photograph with the... And yeah, that's Matt Ward. I say I don't really have I'm not involved in it. I just like to milk the meme for comedy purposes. If you ever meet Nick Baton, he's a walking Ultramarine meme. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And if you're not aware of what's going on with this Conquest, by the way, this is, if you don't know what Conquest is, it's a Hachette part work. It's 80 issues, and over the course of 80 issues, you build up not just an Imperial army of Space Marines and vehicles. You also get a Death Guard army as well, and Death Guard Plague Marines and Poxwalkers. Basically, so you have two armies at the end of it. Now, this is very kindly being made possible financially with the help of George in the chat, George Gabriel, one of my patrons. And when it's all finished, we're going to split it. And currently the thinking is that George is going to get the Space Marines and I'm going to get the Death Guard. So I'll clearly paint the Death Guard much more carefully than the Space Marines. Just joking. And George currently is thinking he wants them Space Marines painted as salamanders. It's interesting. Flames, cabron, flames, pendejo. But you never know. I would say, George, before you make an absolute... Because we've got another 5 or 6 months to go yet, and then we've got hundreds of years before they're all painted. I would say, have a look around. Look through the lore and just make sure you absolutely want the salamanders before you go, because there are a lot of really cool-looking factions, chapters out there. Or you could make up your own. You could make a Shanghai Dragons faction. You know you could do that. You know you can make up your own faction, dude. You know what? Imagine, imagine this, right? Imagine this, dude. Paint up the Space Marines in reds and yellows. I get onto Fallout Hobbies and get them to make a shed load of tiny decals, pauldron decals for the Shanghai Dragons logo. You hadn't thought about that, had you? There's just, I want salamanders. You didn't think about Shanghai Dragons. Nah. So you could do whatever you want. I just thought of that now in my brain. Reds and yellows. Wouldn't cost me a fortune to get a sheet of hundreds and hundreds of little Shanghai Dragons logos made for the pauldrons. That would be interesting. So yes, we're going to split it. The only thing, I'm not sure what we're going to do with the scenery though. I don't know. George and I haven't discussed it yet. We'll sort that out behind the scenes, but I don't know what we're doing with the scenery yet. Let's have a look. Oh, somebody asked a question. Sim Racer Flight Sim 1000, I really must abbreviate that somehow, says, have you ever used a Grex airbrush? I haven't, because you can't get them over here in the UK. I'm aware of them, I just haven't. Ow! There we go, look. Da-da-da-da-da, plaster time. Oh, you little bugger. It was right on the edge there as well. Oh. Is that going to bleed, or is it just a little tiny flesh wound? No, it didn't actually hurt or anything. Yeah, that's great. If I stop bleeding, I'll get a... So I'll go and get a plaster. Gosh darn it. I knew I wouldn't get away with it. I knew these Riser ruins wouldn't let me get away with it. Yeah, let me go and get a plaster. Back in a second, folks. Hang on a minute. I'll put you on the... Give me a sec. There you go. You like it when you get your stabberty, don't you? I did think doing these, yeah, there's going to be some kind of grievous injury. Luckily, it was only a little tiny thin, not a deep cut, only a shallow cut. So I'll just stick a plaster on it. Oh, get out! Just so I don't bleed all over the scenery, because that would be gross. Oh, these are rubbish plastic ones as well. Oh, meh. And it would be on the end of my thumb, which is just nightmare to put a plaster on. God damn it. There we go. That'll do for now. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Right. Let's get back on with this, shall we? Where was I up to? Yes, you can't get Grex in this country, I don't think, so I've got no idea whether they're any good. However, because he says, I'm thinking of getting a Grex Genesis Airbrush XGI. Have you actually done airbrushing before, or are you actually just starting out with airbrushing? Because that can help determine what airbrush you want to get. For anybody who's thinking of getting into airbrushing, I'm back on, aren't I? Yes. Thinking of getting into airbrushing, if you are just starting out, don't instinctively go for a nice expensive. Don't think that an expensive one is what you want to do to get the best airbrush. I mean, you do, but when you're learning, we've always said before, the learning curve for airbrushing is like steep, like that, but very short-lived. You learn everything you need to know very quickly, but there's a lot to learn. And it's always the best thing with an airbrush is to start with a good starter brush, get used to it, and make sure you like airbrushing before you commit to something that's going to cost you $150, $200, $300, because airbrushing is one of those things that you either love it or you hate it. You either take to it straight away, or I'm putting that on there. Just stay there. You either take to it straight away, or you hate it with a vengeance, and it's not your thing. So, if you get yourself a good starter brush, like something from, say, Badger, I don't know about Grex, something from, say, Badger or Iwata, something that might cost you, in American money, say 70 to 100 bucks, or in English money, about the same, 70 to 100 quid. We can get brushes over here that are like 50, 60, 70 quid. Don't go for Chinese knockoff crap off eBay where you get a compressor and an airbrush, or off Amazon, a compressor and an airbrush and all that. They're crap. It's like, that'd be like learning to ride a bike on a bike with one wheel and no wheel on the back, or a bike with square wheels. It's just, don't bother with that. Just quite simply, get yourself something reasonably decent. Stick to the proper brand names. Iwata, Badger. I don't know about Grex. Or maybe we can get them actually. If Chapter Master Valrak likes them, then maybe we can get them over here. I think. Oh wait, no, we're talking about something else now. I don't know. Gaijin says, coincidentally, ultramarine is an actual colour. Yes, it is. It is certainly is. It's a colour of blue, hence why they're blue. Which is another reason to just not like Matt Ward, because he's like, wow, you made them blue and you call them ultramarines. That's not actually creative at all. Wow. It really is just embarrassing, really. Yeah, from what little I've learned about ultramarines and Matt Ward, I can't help seeing it a bit like the guy that made up Sonitube, but it's a bit like that. It's like he made his own kind of chapter, but he just happened to work for Games Workshop at the time, so it was a little less, weird. But it just happens to, yeah. Well, this is going to take forever. Excuse me. Then we're talking about other things from Ultramarines. Eon says, yeah, Blood Angels or Imperial Fist colours are fun. I think this is when I was talking about George saying about have a look at other chapters before you commit. I think instead of Salamanders, I would like Smurf Marines, says George. Well, that's fine. That would actually be great for me because I've already half painted a load of them. It would save me a lot of jobs, a lot of work. You wouldn't have to strip them all. Yeah, you can have whatever you want, buddy. If you're having the Space Marines, you can have whatever chapter you want. But I would say, before I commit to painting, we'll start all that process. Make sure you want the one you want. Oh, you may have me there. Dragons and Marines might be cool. Yeah, because the thing with Space Marines is you can make up your own chapter, call them whatever you want, and have your own colour, as long as they follow the rule set for an established existing chapter. So now I don't know. I've not seen in the codex, but I assume different chapters have different rule sets because they've got different abilities. So if you were to plonk them on the table and say, here's my Shanghai Dragons dudes, but they play exactly like Ultramarines, then that's fine. I think most people will let you get away with that. I think it doesn't actually matter. What was that? Challenthorn Gitter Superb subscribed. Thank you very much, buddy. Very kind of you. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. And this goes to all of you, by the way. I know most of you are subscribers, but if you haven't done already, do make sure that you take a moment to hit the notification bell, either on this video or on the main channel page. There's two reasons. One, it'll let you know when I do one of these impromptu, unannounced live streams. It'll give you a heads up and say, ooh, Model Making Guru is streaming. But also, it helps my videos appear better in any search listings. Because it does factor into where my content appears on searches. I didn't know this, but I found this out recently. So yeah, if you get a minute, just take a moment to click that bell. Oh, I've forgotten how much of a pain in the bum these terrain pieces really are a pain. I hate doing these. Oh, they're not as bad as bikes, not as bad as Space Marine bikes, I'll give them that. Let's have a look. Zadster's in. Welcome, Zadster. Stabberty, Spieldar's air ambulance, everything's laughing about. Please remember, guys, don't do as Fox does, cut away from yourself. Yes, I can't cut away from myself. And despite the fact I'm known as Captain Stabberty, and I do occasionally do it on stream, it's actually quite rare that I do it. For all the time I spend working with a knife, it's actually very rare that I do it. But that doesn't mean you should do it. If you're a young builder, if you're not used to using knives, then, you know, try and cut away. If you're learning how to do it, learn to cut away from yourself. I'm too old and long in the tooth now to learn how to do that. I'm too used to do it this way. But yes, do cut away from yourself. I'm a professional idiot. Don't do what I do. Gaz Vickers is in. Welcome, Gaz, my newest patron. Gaz Vickers. He's lovely. I always said I like Gaz Vickers. It's not true what they say about you, Gaz. Not true at all. Why didn't you just super glue it, Fox, says Cy Reynolds? Because I've not opened my super glue yet. It's a waste of super glue. Just stick a plaster on it. I get more sympathy when I got plaster on anyway. Also, I was going to say I can't unlock my iPad and phone, but then I've got a big plaster on my thumb, so yeah. Ironically, just after the great Deathcore of Krieg crisis of a couple of weeks ago, when I put all my Deathcore of Krieg infantry back in the box and in disgust and vowed never to build them, all the super glue I ordered for them and for the tank turned up. So I've now got loads of super glue and the zip kicker and stuff. Hooray! That should be fun. Yeah. I hate doing this scenery. Grex Genesis XG1 sounds like an epic guitar or a racing motorbike, and Cy Reynolds says it's in the same spectrum as calling a brush the Airbrush Super 2000. I am surprised, says Stewpot, that Fox doesn't have a first aid box under his bench. I was actually, I went down to the kitchen, and as I was getting a plaster out of the the cupboard where the first aid box is, I sat there, I was there and I thought, why don't I just take like this upstairs? Because I'm the only one that ever needs plasters. But like I said, it's not actually often that I do it. It's rare. It's actually reasonably rare that I stab myself like that. In the last year, I've probably done it maybe twice. Just like little minor nick like that. In the last 5 years, I've only had one serious like injury, and that's when the knife fell off my desk and went into my leg, and I'm like going, oh, there's a knife sticking in my leg, fantastic. Yeah, that didn't hurt, but it was messy. And then that's the first time that's ever happened. So I'm not actually that bad, but it's good for comedy if I roll with it and say that I'm Captain Stabberty. Jamie Bone is in. Welcome, Jamie. Fox, is that a Haynes Land Rover mug? It certainly is, my friend. I can't tip it too much because of the spillage. Yes, it's a Land Rover. Series 1, 2 and 3, 1958 to 1995, up to C registration Land Rover. And I do have downstairs a proper Haynes manual for a Series 3 Land Rover. Or Series 1 to 3, exactly as that says. And there isn't a day goes by that I don't miss my Landy. But then I look at my car with a shark mouth on it and think, yeah, you know what? It was a good trade. If anybody's come in, by the way, I've not called out for you or called you out. My apologies. I'm kind of rushing a lot tonight because I'm only going to be on for about an hour or so, about another 45 minutes. Just for I'll come back later on tonight if I can. But I'm just going for an hour or so now until dinner time because I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. Cut towards myself. When I started making models in the 70s, I'm Lieutenant Stabberty, says Lynn. Yeah. The thing is, I've often the one thing I learned a long time ago is that when I do trim, when I'm cutting towards myself, what I do is you'll see me do it, and 99% of the time it works. I'll brace my thumbs like that, so that if it does slip normally, then this thumb stops that thumb going too far, and I'll put my thumb on the blade like that. Now the problem I had there when I did that was not that this actually slipped and cut my thumb. It's that my thumb moved forward and hit the blade there. So it was the blade going over like that on my thumb. I had my thumb too far forward. It's actually more often that I'll do that than I'll do actual Stabberty on this side. Because if I brace my thumbs like that, it does a lot of times actually stop me doing Stabberty. But I know you're all clenching everything right now, so I'll just put that back on there, shall I? Yeah. Jimmy Bone says, Fox, in the new Airfix Model World magazine, they build the new Revell 124th Land Rover. Why are they building a Revell kit in an Airfix magazine? Cool. I like the sound of that. What's the one that Dad's making on the E-models? He's going to be doing the Italeri one, isn't he? Is that the one you're doing, Dad? What is? No, Dad's not watching what we're doing. Dad's at Telford. He's in the car driving back from Telford. I think he's doing the Italy. I've forgotten now. That's how I cut. That's how I cut Fox thumb support, says Lynn. Yep, just brace your thumbs like that. It doesn't make it impossible for you to stab yourself, because there are always times. This is why you want to make sure if you're cutting a nub away, you want minimal plastic sticking up, because if you've got a massive chunk of plastic and your knife skips, and then you can do damage to your thumbs or fingers. If it's a little tiny bit, you're less likely. You're doing like the cutting the potatoes kind of style like that, but just with not that thumb there. They say cut away from yourself, says Gauging, but that doesn't give you any real control. Jamie Bowen says the Revell is the Series 3 Land Rover, the best Land Rover. Yeah, I find cutting away from myself, I can't. If I'm trying to shave something away like a nub, I don't want to be doing gouging, and if I do it that way, it just doesn't work for me. Dad is building the Italeri Land Rover fire truck. Red, and more red, says Lynn. That's right, I thought it might be the Italeri. Yes. So, see, Revell do good car kits. They can pull out a good car kit. Although I have to say, is the Revell 1/24th scale Land Rover, is it actually Revell or is it somebody else's kit? Because if it's somebody else's kit, it might be fantastic. If it's a Revell kit, it might be good. It might be good. I mean, 1/24th, not going to knock that. Series 3 Land Rover, if I get that kit, I'll be painting a shark mouth on it. No, I won't. Would I? No, I'd paint it to look like my old one. I'd have to get the license plate printed out as a decal. I'd have to make it like my old Land Rover. My old Land Rover, said follow that Land Rover. George says, okay, heading off to the Games Workshop store. Cool. Have a good one, George. Are you getting a refund? Well, good luck. They'll refund you, or I would, if you get something else in exchange, you might as well. I'm just talking rubbish now. Good luck, George. Let us know how you get on. Don't come back with more than you went to go in for, is what I'm trying to say. Don't come back with 1,000 other things that you weren't originally going to buy. Yeah, I say that. It's pointless saying that, really, because it's going to happen, isn't it? Believe it or not, you have more control in cutting and scraping cutting towards yourself, I think, says Lynn. I don't know if that's true, but I would find that myself personally to be the case. I would agree. But I just don't. It's a bit like, to me, it's a bit like if I put the knife and fork in my other hands, I'd be like, I can't eat now. I don't know how to eat. Because I'm so used to having it one way around. Yes. Fox has to go pack for Telford, says Lynn. Yes, I can't be. If you weren't here at the start, thanks to Dad, who's given me a lift, and also my bank manager, who put a bigger number than I thought on my bank statement. Woohoo! I can actually go to Telford this year, tomorrow, so the stars have aligned, and so Dad's giving me a lift tomorrow, but he's picking me up at 6:30 in the morning. Hey! So, yeah, it's not going to be a late night for me tonight. So, yes. And what I'm doing at the minute, right now, that you can't see, is I'm actually wearing my boots. I say boots, they're shoes, but they're boot shoes. They're like Victorian-style eyelets going up. Victorian-style shoes, basically, that go up your ankle. I'm wearing them. I don't normally wear shoes in the house, but I'm wearing them because I haven't worn them for about 3 years. And I'm not going to wear my sneakers tomorrow, because if I wear my sneakers tomorrow, my old man feet will be crippled by the end of the day. So I'm wearing my shoes in the hope that it won't be as uncomfortable for my poor feet by the end of the day. Might be just as bad. Lynn says, so much for studying my pharmacy book. Don't. Put your feet up, says Lynn. Well, I can't when I'm walking around the show all day tomorrow. That's the thing. I normally wear my sneakers, but I can't do that. If I'm standing up for hours and hours, I'm getting old now, and they're not supporting my foot enough, and I get really painful feet by the end of the day. Like even just like visiting e-models for a few hours, I can be in agony by the end of the day. It goes away. It's just sore feet. So I'm hoping wearing shoes, I'll be happy. Zadster says, yeah, Converse are not great for standing around for a long time. Yeah, they used to be, but I'm getting old now, you see, and I think that's where that's the dividing point now. Oh, you're not of the age, Fox, that allows you to have a mobility scooter. Why, yeah, Yoda. Silence, you young whippersnapper. Not that old. I'm Generation X. I found this out, actually. Because I thought I thought I was a baby boomer, but I obviously had a complete misunderstanding of all the different generations. Because I'm actually Generation X, it turns out. Between 1970 and 1985 is Generation X. Baby boomers are from 1950 something, I think, to 1969, or it could be 1940 something to 1969. I think it's 45 to 69 is baby boomers. Okay, boomer. So I'm not a boomer. I thought I was, but I'm not. I'm Generation X. Millennials, I didn't know this, but millennials are from 1985 to 1995. So only that 10-year gap. So when I'm sitting there whinging about bloody millennials on their mobile phones, and I'm kind of using it at the wrong people, because I don't know what after millennials comes the kids from 95 to 2006, I think, which is Generation I, or the I generation. Oh, that's so annoying, that. Just that alone is annoying. So, man, so shut your dirty... I'm not a millennial. No, you're not. You're a Generation I, or some stupid ass name. It's even worse. Basically, millennials now are in their 30s, effectively. And I don't know why they're called millennials, because it's between 85 and 95, so there's no millennium in that. So I was born in 87, so you're a millennial. You are a millennial, I'm afraid. Born in 87. You're not Generation X, and you're not a Generation I. I'm afraid you are actually a millennial. It's bad news, dude. I think this means you have to go and do makeup videos on YouTube now or something. Or food videos. And you have to demand free things from shops because you have an Instagram account. No, I'm a Kevin, says Si. I'm not a Generation X or a millennial. I'm a Kevin. It's all different. Eon's Car says, I'm a millennial, born 93. Yep. I think that you'd have to look at... I think I've probably got the dates a little bit wrong. And there's Generation I, or I generation, I think is post-millennial, so 95 onwards, I think. I don't know what comes after that. There's the stupid names anyway. Fox, take an extra pair of shoes to change when you leave. I'm going to take my sneakers. If I can get them in my rucksack, I'm going to take my sneakers with me just in case. So I can put them on at the end of the day. Dee-dee-dee. 2000 to present, new silent generation or Generation Z. So this is what makes me funny, the silent generation. How anybody can be a silent generation. The original silent generation were the people during the Great Depression, the sort of 20s and 30s. And I think they were called the silent generation because they had no voice. They were the poor, the disenfranchised. I think that's what it was. But the new silent generation, if there's one thing people born in 2000 onwards are not, it's silent. You know how to use the word. Gen Z, yes, Generation Z, or Gen Z if you're American. 1980 to 2000, millennials are Generation Y. That's not, I don't know, I'm doubting that, because I read somewhere else it was up to 85 is Generation X. 65 to 79, 13ers or Generation X. I don't know what a 13er is. It's 46 to 64, yeah. Oh, that's what it was. 46 to 69, this is what I got some different dates. 46 to 69 was the boomers, baby boomers, because it was the population boom after the Second World War, end of austerity. Everybody's getting a bit rude. And then there was the baby bust, where the birth rate dropped. For a number of different reasons, including, contraception came in and lots of other reasons. So we were the Generation X, or the baby bust generation, because it was the boom and then there was the bust. But I think, yeah, have a look. Lynn's got some dates, but I got slightly different dates. Because I got Generation X up to 85, I think. But however you do it, basically, Kevin is millennial. So, dude. Sorry, dude. Eon's, I'm a Kevin, we got that one. I just posted the Gen chart, says Lynn. Gen, I probably trademarked. I'm Generation Doritos, says Gauging. Yes. So Lynn says 2000 to present is the new silent generation, which is a rubbish name, or Generation Z. It's also a rubbish name. 1980 to 2000, millennials or Generation Y. I prefer Generation Y is rubbish. Generation X sounds fantastic. 65 to 79, 13ers or Generation X. 64 from 46, baby boomers. Yeah, I think there's some variation. I think I got some slightly different dates. But yeah, Generation Z. Stupid name. The new silent generation. Why would there be the new silent generation? I don't get that. I don't know. I think people born from 2000 onwards, it should be called the Me Too. Not as in the Me Too movement. Let's just make that clear. As in the me movement. Because, I don't know. They seem very selfish people nowadays. Of a younger age. That's it. I'm editing the wiki. 1987 will be Kevin. Generation X, and then there's Generation Y. But between that is Generation Kevin. Anybody born on this day, on this year. The numbers absolutely change depending on what charts you're looking at. Paul Di Tommaso was born in 74, which makes you Generation X, or Baby Bust. Or the 13. I don't know what it's called, the 13. I've never heard of that before. Eon's Car says, my mum is Generation Y. Oh, really? What? My mum is... I don't know what my mum would be. Don't blow dust off something when you've got your desk covered in shizzle. It doesn't end well. Lynn's a baby boomer. Do. What, so you were born before 1969 ish? Dad's a baby boomer. Butcher Dave will be a Generation X like me, I think. Possibly a boomer, but I don't think so. I was thinking the other day as well, like when I was a kid growing up and all the old people had like 1970s clothes on. Two things I was thinking about the other day. Cup of tea. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, Scott Sutherland would be Generation X, born in 81, according to the list I saw. So you'd still be Generation X or a baby bust. Eon's Car was born in 65, so you are a baby boomer. Okay, boomer. Yeah, when I was a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, old people wore clothes from the 1950s and 60s. And then when I was like a young man in the 1990s, old people wore clothes from the 1970s. And I'm thinking, when I get to be a little old man, I'm not going to be wearing 30-year-old clothes. So at what point do old people stop doing like that? Because it's also like when people that are my age, people that were my age when I was a kid, they're my age now, that when a kid, they wore old clothes and they didn't know anything about modern technology and they were all old-fashioned. But yeah, now you look at me pushing 50 and I get up to 50 in a couple of years and I'm still fairly savvy on the old tech side. I've got modern clothes, I'm making plastic models. I can't imagine people of my generation becoming old dodderers that don't understand modern technology and don't know how to use the latest tech gadgets, because we all kind of grew up with the tech. It's weird. If Kevin can do that, April of 83 is Generation Totemo. Yes. No, my mum is born in 65, you numpty. Says Eon's Car. Zasta says, well, Greenwood's men's clothing shops went bust, I think, so it's going to be difficult finding those slacks and overcoats in that strange beige mushroom colour. Yeah, because I did wonder, like, because theoretically, given what I saw growing up, when I get to like 60 or 70, I should be wearing basically the entire wardrobe department from A Touch of Frost. That should be what I'd be wearing, but I won't be, because I'll be like, yeah! Because like when my dad was my age, it was like he went to Burton and bought like the slacks, and it's like, yeah. They weren't quite old man clothes, but they were, 1980s sitcom clothes. The husband from Keeping Up Appearances, that kind of, yeah. Raging Bassist says, hello, you magnificent, awesome people. Hello, Raging Bassist. How you doing, my friend? I am fighting scenery, and it's fighting me all the way. I've had a stabity already. You've missed stabity, I'm afraid. Because it's the Rise of Ruins, and everybody gets an injury doing the Rise of Ruins. Suspenders, or braces, as we say, and a pair of trousers that go halfway up your stomach. Oh, yeah. When I was at secondary school, this is late 80s, I was really into like 1940s style and fashions, like men's like suits, double-breasted suits and snap brim fedoras and stuff. I thought that was a really nice, great style. Because when I was a kid in the 80s, I hated the 80s fashions. I was like, oh, clothes are rubbish. But I really had a penchant for like that vintage look. I think it's because I was doing cartoony stuff, and I was growing up on, comic books and stuff that had that kind of film noir style. So, fedoras and hats and overcoats and stuff, greatcoats and stuff. But I'll never forget. It was I just realised I've missed out a load of. Well, I've done those. There was, where am I going with this story now? Yes, I was in secondary school, and I was in the sixth form, which is the last 2 years of school, of secondary school. And at that point, you didn't have to wear a uniform. You just got to wear, shirt and nice trousers and a sports jacket of some sort. All you had to actually wear was the school tie. You had to wear a smart shirt and jacket and stuff. And my dad pulled out the wardrobe a genuine 1950s 3-button wool suit. Oh, it was in perfect. I think it was the suit he got married in, but it was just a normal everyday suit. It was a proper tailored suit, so it was made of wool that thick. It had a really fine checker pattern on it. It was like black with a very fine, just off black grey checkerboard pattern, a bit like this cutting mat but smaller. It had pants that were that wide, but all the way up. And they had collars, they had cuffs on the pants. So like on the trousers, you had the turn-ups, the cuffs. Oh, and they were like that wide all the way up. And it didn't have belt loops. It had buttons for braces. And he said, do you want this suit? And I'm like, do I ever? Proper 3-button Italian style. British. And it was tailored. It wasn't off the shelf. So it had the tailor's thing in there. It wasn't a wedding suit. It was just a nice suit. And I was so happy with it. I was like the bee's knees at school because I had proper 1950s style, big, wide, straight, drape shaped trousers. I was so happy as a pig in muck. And I've still got the jacket to this day. It's old and battered now, and it's got the inside lining's a bit ripped. I must get it repaired. But yeah, the trousers unfortunately are long gone. They just kind of eventually fell apart. But yeah, I had to go and buy braces because there's just no belt loops. It was it wasn't pre-belts, but it was to be worn with braces, which was the style at the time in the 1950s. And that was my pride and joy. Absolute pride and joy. That suit was fantastic. And it was proper thick British 1950s wool, which meant in the summer you shed pounds. You didn't really want to wear it in the summer at all. That was the worst thing you could do. Oh, this is tedious. Let's have a look. Basis says, not too bad, mate. Just finished working on a shower, decorated some more cakes for work. It's not been a bad day. 999 broke down because we all called, says Lynn. Yeah, because I got the stabity. Hate to see old people that will wear their pants halfway down. Can't tell if they really dropped a load or not, says. But oh god, yeah, like the mouth breathers now that wear the pants around their ankles all the time. It's like, oh, you mouth breathing chavs. What are they going to wear when they get to like the 50s and 60s? I mean, they'll all be like fat because that's just the kind of people they are. But God, what are they going to? Oh. I don't look forward to that. That'd be dreadful, wouldn't it? Like some 60-year-old, 70-year-old bloke going, yeah, innit, well hard, look at me trousers, yeah, well hard, innit, banging, baz it, shut up. Fox, that suit sounds like Mr. B, the gentleman rhymer, who is a tad hipster but still rather brilliant. Yeah, it was proper, like, little, like, I can't really demonstrate it, but the collar, the lapels, like a modern jacket now, the lapels are kind of down to waist level. This one was at the top. Think 10th Doctor, that kind of shape, like real high collar with 3 buttons, three Italian buttons, but thick wool, thick wool. Oh, it's fantastic. Just before high school, corduroys made a comeback and I couldn't stand them, says Gagey. I've actually got some corduroys in it on a shelf and I must clean them off. I must give them they've been on the shelf for years. I must give them a clean. The other day I was watching something and a guy had a corduroy jacket. And you know what? I'm going to admit to you now. I sat there thinking, you know what? I could go for a corduroy jacket. I could go for that. And then I was watching... Well, it's weird because when I was a kid, I hated the 70s. I hated everything about the 70s. But now I'm an adult and I look back on it, I think, you know what? The clothes in the 70s were flipping brilliant. My favourite jacket in the whole world, I'm not wearing it tomorrow, but my favourite jacket in the whole world is a genuine 1970s brown leather safari jacket. And I wear it quite often when I've not got a bit of a belly on because I've not had loads of food. I have to not be a little bit fat. So I've not worn it for a while because I put a bit of weight on when I gave up smoking. But my favourite jacket in the whole world is that dark brown 1970s creaky leather safari jacket. It's absolutely fantastic. And, you know, I'm watching this thing and I was watching Cosmos at one point and I thought, you know what, I need to get some turtlenecks. I don't know why. And then I'm thinking, I need to get some corduroy trousers. And then I thought, oh, I need a corduroy jacket. Oh, man. That would be the best. So I'm strongly having thoughts about getting myself a corduroy jacket. And I find myself, when I need to buy, like, something, clothing now, before I actually got... Because it's not very often I buy clothes. I make clothes last years, but it's not very often I buy stuff. But I'm getting bored of just wearing jeans and a T-shirt all the time. It's boring me. I used to, when I was a bit younger, I used to wear like combat gear, or either all black or just combat gear. You know, paratrooper boots, combat pants, not cargo pants, proper combat pants. You know, biker jacket, hair down to my backside. Yeah, I can't go back to that anymore. But yeah, I'm finding myself now thinking, before I go and buy some clothing, let's just get on eBay and look at the like lemon rags and people that are selling vintage jackets and trousers. Let's just go and find some vintage stuff and see if that's better. And I mean proper vintage, not modern stuff that looks vintage. Like my favourite pair of jeans now I've got, they're not actually flared, but they've got a little tiny bit of a boot cut, so they have a little bit of a flare to them. I'm like, you know what? Some flared jeans would be really mint, right? Brilliant. And I find myself going all retro. Sounds like you're becoming a geography teacher, says Zadster. Yeah, I wouldn't have the elbow pads. If you're not British, you won't get the joke, but in the 1970s and 80s, a geography teacher in school would have worn a corduroy jacket with the leather pads on the elbows. Raging Bassist says, I can confirm what chavs wear when they are old. I have seen elderly chavs. However, that could just be that they're 20 and just have had too many drugs. Yeah, I think that's probably more likely. Clarky says, evening all, finally made after a full afternoon of shopping. Have you ever cut your thumb when boinking off the knife? And just to be clear, he means actually going boink and taking the end off. No, because I do that from the side. And I used to do that on the package opening knife. This is package opening knife Mark II, but I do that, so there's no stabbity risk with that. Put the lid back on this. I can just see Fox wearing turtlenecks. Yeah, I was watching Cosmos in a proper Carl Sagan Cosmos, and I'm like, you know what? I could just rock a turtleneck and a jacket, my safari jacket and a turtleneck, and some corduroy flare. Oh. Don't forget the bell bottoms. Yeah, I don't think I'd go quite bell bottoms. A little bit of a flare I think would be good. Paul says, I don't care what the current fashion trend is. I will wear what I think is cool. It must be comfortable as well. Today on Warhammer Saturday, 1970s clothing. Of course, this is correct. In the same way that when we do the e-model show on a Monday night and we don't really talk about model making, when I do my Warhammer Sunday show on a Sunday, I don't really talk about Warhammer. I just talk about anything else. Cy Reynolds says, I'm actually going to Fox is actually going to audition for a new series of That 70s Show. The only thing I can't figure out, right? This is the only thing I can't figure out. And this is where I need help. I've got about 10 or 15 minutes to go, but this is where I need some help. Oh, a little fireworks outside. If you show me photographs, right? Let's say you give me 10 photographs, and in those photographs, 5 are modern day people dressed in vintage 70s clothing, and 5 are photographs from the 1970s in 70s clothing. But assume that they've used the same camera and same film, so there's no way to tell by the quality of the photograph when it was taken. I can't tell a vintage. So let's say it's a Polaroid, so I can't tell the modern from the old just by looking at the quality of the picture and the lighting. So imagine same camera, same lighting, everything's the same. They're just different people. Have you noticed how you can tell when something's fake 70s because the hair it is wrong? I don't know what it was with 1970s hair, especially men's hair. I don't know what it was. But there's just something about men's hair in the 1970s that looks different and that's seemingly impossible to reproduce. Now, it could just be that Timotei and Head and Shoulders in the 70s were absolute garbage, and they probably were. But there's just something about, like, the faces. It's not just the hair, but the hair and the faces. They look, and I mean average, I don't mean like special, celebrities and stuff, but I mean just normal, average people. There's a certain weirdness to the hair that men's hair in the 70s kind of had a wave to it that you don't get anymore. In the same way that 1950s men's hair had a real tight wave to it that gave that curly-whirly high-tower engineer hair. In the 70s, men's hair did this kind of wave that it just... And they didn't do anything, just natural hair. And you don't seem to get that anymore. But also, if you look at most men in the 1970s, they kind of look gormless. I don't know what it is, but I could probably identify and separate the modern from the vintage people. Again, assuming the lighting and cameras are the same, just purely by the hair and how gormless the men looked. I don't know what it is. It's just, there's something about British. I'm going to restrict it to British here, but there's something about British men. I mean, women it's easier because their fashions are so vastly different anyway, but I don't know, but just men in general, you can kind of, I don't know what it is, it's impossible to put my finger on it for sure, but there's something about, I don't know, did everybody just wash their hair in beer or something? Because everybody's hair in the 70s looks minging and crispy and horrible and unkempt, even when it's kempt. Fox would look like Carl Sagan Jr. I wish. Billions and billions of years ago. If you wish to make an apple pie, you must first invent the universe. I love Carl Sagan. 70s clothing, deadly premonition, an average day with Fox, says Gauging. Yep, pretty much. Be right back, need a brew? Anyone fancy a tea or coffee? I have hobnobs of chocolate. Raging Bassist is doing it correctly with the hobnobs. I think we only washed our hair once a week or so then and cut it every few months, says Adster. Yeah, probably right. I mean, men didn't have short hair in those days, so... But yeah, men just look... There's something about men in the 70s that they just look gormless. I don't know what it is. Captain Nemo says, I should call my daughter Jen Y. Lol, every time I ask her to do something, she asks, why? Lynn says, I hope you have enough hobnobs for everybody. And Eon's Car says, I agree with Lynn, and which hobnobs are they? You have said chocolate, so they're going to be chocolate hobnobs. He said hobnobs of chocolate. They're the best hobnobs. I was born in 73, says Captain Nemo, so that makes you a Generation X or a Baby Bust or a 13er. Apparently I've never heard of this 13er. But anyway, to get back to the original point of this entire conversation from ages ago was, I can't imagine not being in the loop for whatever the current technology is and stuff. Now, I'm not saying I'd be fluent with it, you know. I'm not saying that I would know the insides and outsides of how to work every piece of device that I could imagine 20 years from now. But like people in the 60s and 70s, when I was a kid, had no concept of anything modern technology. They barely knew how to work a television or a VCR. Yet when I get to my 60s and 70s, I like to think that I'll know how to work most things. I'll have a mobile phone, I'll have a current phone, I'll have an internet and a computer, and I'll kind of know what I'm doing a bit. So I can't imagine being that out of the loop that they used to be. Basis says, I have a near infinite supply of hobnobs. Sorry, I just went somewhere else there for a minute. I have a near infinite supply of hobnobs. I managed to reach into the fabric of space and time to find my base picks and found only chocolate. Hobnobs. So my mind just wandered into a happy place right when I read that first half of that sentence. Totemo Gaijin had Jaffa cakes for the first time a few months ago. Wish they were more accessible here. I went to the store the other day and I came back with... they had some special Christmas packs of hobnobs, of Jaffa cakes, and it was about the box was about 3.5 foot long. Each box contained 80 Jaffa cakes. So I came back with like 4 of them. Yeah, Mama Fox ate all those in about 2 days. My dad's in his 80s. He had a smartphone and tablet before I did, although to be fair, he has been in tech all his life. There you go. So that's the thing. He's been in that world, so he gets it. And I think possibly the reason I don't think we'll end up the same way as our grandparents did is that I can't see there being such a vast gulf between what we've got now and what we'll have in 20 years' time, compared to what we had in the 80s and what our grandparents had in the 50s. Because from the 50s to the 80s was just vast difference. Whereas I think from now, 20 years from now, it'll be more advanced. There'll be more, but it's not going to be that. I mean, go back 20 years to 1999. We had mobile phones. They were a lot simpler, but we still had mobile phones. We had computers. We had the internet. It's not. If you boil it down to brass tacks, there's not a huge amount of difference between the basics of what we've got now and what we had 20 years ago. But go back to the 70s or the 80s, there's a massive gulf, and I think that's the problem. I think the grandparents, there was such a massive development of computers and technology and invention of, the advent of the microchip, that it just left them behind. They just got left behind. Whereas I don't really think we'll have any major, massive, universe-changing technological developments. I think we'll probably get quantum computing at some point, maybe in the next 20 years. But if we do, it'll still be kind of a computer. It won't be on a technological level. It'll be a vast difference, but from the end user, like me and you, point of view, it'll be a computer on my desk that still surfs the internet and shows me cat pictures and porn. So at the end of the day, that's not a massive difference. It'll still work the same way. There'll still be an internet. We'll still have, smartphones. They'll probably be vastly different, but they'll still, in essence, be the same thing. I don't think there's going to be any sort of massive world-changing new thing that will happen in the next 20 years. I think it's just going to be small incremental changes as we get better and better. And I think we'll be all right. I think we'll live with it. We'll move on with it. Because even now you've got like your new model phone coming out every year, all this kind of stuff. It's still just incremental. We're able to catch up. But, if you were living in the 1950s or the early 60s, most people, everything was like valves and transistors, and then the microchip came along in the late 60s. And the difficulty you have there is that a lot of people hadn't even got into the transistor age by the time the microchip age came along, because a lot of people still couldn't afford stuff that had transistors in it. So the gulf was just massive. But nowadays, everybody has the latest. Most people have, in our world, in our first world world, have the new technology. We have the latest gadget, gizmo. So we're going to be kind of savvy with whatever comes along. I think. A lot of fireworks going off outside. You know, it's not November the 5th anymore, guys. Not for the last few days. Let's have a look. Oh, those Jaffa cakes are out. The Christmas ones, says Eon's car. Yep. Oh, Will D's in. Hi, Earl. Gaijin's got Oreos and cinnamon Coke. I'm not a big fan of Oreos. But my regular viewers know I'm not a big fan of anything American chocolate. I think it might be somebody next door but one or something doing the fireworks. It's very loud. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of American chocolate, full stop. So, Lynn says, I'm going to have to order hobnobs, Jaffa cakes from the Amazons. All I have is Planters honey roasted peanuts. Yeah, you want chocolate hobnobs, not hobnobs, but chocolate hobnobs. They have to be chocolate hobnobs. And you do have to make sure that you dip them in tea, because they are designed for tea. They work with coffee, but if you're gonna have chocolate hobnobs, cup of tea. And if you're gonna do that, if you can get it, Barry's tea. I doubt you'll be able to. But Barry's tea. Don't get this English breakfast tea bullshit. If you're gonna have proper British tea, you want Tetley's, you want Yorkshire tea, you want PG Tips, but if you want real proper British tea, you want Barry's tea, because that's the nicest tea. I don't like Tetley's and Yorkshire and. Yeah, don't go for like such and such a brand English tea, breakfast tea. Nobody in this country drinks English breakfast tea. It's a made-up nonsense. Tetley, PG, Yorkshire tea, or Barry's. It always actually tickles me every time Stephen Colbert on the Late Show does anything about Jeff Sessions. He holds up a little biscuit as a character to represent Jeff Sessions. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions. But what he actually holds up is a Tetley tea biscuit. It's a tea made by Tetley. And it's got, I think they do a series of biscuits with the different characters from Tetley tea on them. I didn't even know it was a thing, and it's a British tea brand, so I didn't even know Americans knew what Tetley tea was. So I find it vastly amusing that he's holding up a British Tetley tea biscuit with a picture of, I think it's Sid, not the gaffer, on it, and he's using that to represent Jeff Sessions. I think that's hilarious. Right, got one last piece to clean. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to hate all of this. Oh, the state of this. Look at the state of this. Chisel everywhere. This whole desk is now covered. Even Gutham's covered in it. What I'm going to do, it's 6 o'clock, so I need to go and sort out the foods. So I'm going to have a swig of tea. We'll have a quick look at chat. Let's have a look. Skynet happens unless Skynet happens, says Eon's car. Yeah, we're too humanity is too incompetent in net to actually make that happen. Quantum computers equal awesome gaming lore, says LD. Zasta says, being able to communicate easily at zero cost is a massive change, like being able to watch a 1080 HD telechannel or some bloke doing modelling and talking about 1970s clothes. There are massive changes, but I think the changes that have come from when we were kids to now, from our point of view, have been gradual enough that we can roll with it and we'll always be over. I don't think anything's going to be changed that much. But if you were a kid in the 50s and your family wasn't particularly wealthy, you're just an average, like, typical British family, by the time microchips came in, you'd be in your 30s. Well, let's say you'd be in your 20s or so when microchips came in. You might be in your 30s or 40s before you even saw a computer. So I think the changes were so quick that anybody who wasn't already at the current level of technology in the late 50s, early 60s would have been left behind. I think that's where it comes from. That's where you get that gap. Stefan last. Hi, Stefan. He says, I agree. There won't be the same massive difference in the next couple of decades, except for teleportation, of course. There is that. What about hobnobs and hot chocolate? I'm not a real tea or coffee drinker. Yeah, it'll probably work. Hobnobs with more chocolate will probably work. It'll probably work. The thing about hobnobs, the real big reason that hobnobs are the best biscuit is because of their dunking potential. You have your cup of tea and you have your hobnob. You get a normal digestive biscuit or something, and you put your biscuit in, and you do that, and you pull it out, and it crumbles, and you get splooge in the bottom of your biscuit and tea in it. If you get a hobnob, you can hold that in there for like 45 minutes, and you pull it out, and it's still a hobnob, and you can eat it. They're like the SAS of biscuits. That's why we love them so much, because you can dunk them and they don't explode. Go to bed early, Fox. Dad's coming to get you at 3 a.m, says Earl D. Oh, God, half sick. You're not joking. Ian's car. Going to go and help start doing dinner with my mum. See you all next to the stream. I will be streaming probably in about an hour or two. I'll do a bit more streaming later on this evening after I've had my dinner. Frankie says, I'm back again home now after a 12-hour shift, enjoying the stream now with nothing on my bench, and I've ordered a pizza with chicken, onions, mushrooms and bacon for my belly. Good girl. Microchips or really small French fries. I'll try hot chocolate and hobnobs and let you all know. Although, what hot chocolate? Is it American hot chocolate or English hot chocolate or European? Try if you can get some proper, not American, but proper like European hot chocolate. Oh, your mind will be blown. Trust me on this. American chocolate is terrible. You guys don't know how to make chocolate. Your mouth will love you for the rest of your life. Okay, so I think I'm up to date. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop it there. I need to go and sort dinner out. I'll stop it there. Order me dinner. I'll have me dinner. I'll write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, get all that done, and then what I'll do is I'll come back on later on this evening. I don't know what time, but I'll come back on later this evening. I won't be on for long because, like it's been said, so I'm being picked up at 6:30 in the morning. 6:30! So I'm going to have to go to bed. I've got to have a bath and everything. It's bath night, and it's made my Saturday bath night now. So I'm going to have a bath and everything and go to bed early tonight and have a good snooze. Because the thing is, I don't get to bed till normally 1 or 2 in the morning, so I'm not going to sleep because I'm going to have been awake for like 5 hours. I don't know. Anyway. I'll try and get some English hot chocolate. Probably Cadbury's, but proper European Cadbury's, not American Cadbury's. Who makes a good hot chocolate? I can't think of. I don't really drink hot chocolate, but I can't think of one now. While the chat's still going, even though the show finishes, point any Europeans in there, point Lynn in the direction of decent UK or European hot chocolate. So I'll go and have my dinner and stuff, get that sorted. I'll come back in a bit. Maybe an hour or two, and we'll do a bit more work and hang out for a bit longer. And then, of course, I'm going to be at Telford tomorrow. So, yay! I'm not going to stream or do anything from Telford tomorrow because I'm having a big problem with premium rate text scam nonsense. Put it quite simply, if you use mobile data on your phone, people can get into it. It's not hacking it, but they can send you text that costs you money and subscribe you to stuff you haven't subscribed to, and it's a nightmare. So I tend not to use that now. So I might, unless there's a Wi-Fi service there, I might not post up from tomorrow. But yes, I shall come back later on. Raging Basis, try the Mint Aero Mint Aero hot chocolate. Oh yeah, if you like mint though. Oh, just normal Aero hot chocolate. Oh yeah. Aero, yeah. Anyway, if you're in the Boom Hut, because Lynn's in the Boom Hut, put some links up. In fact, Lynn, put a post up in the Boom Hut and put in the post that I've said you can post it. We don't want the pie situation all over again. Just asking for good suggestions for proper hot chocolate and see what people come up with. Non-American hot chocolate. Galaxy hot chocolate. Oh, yeah. But you've got to be careful, though, because a lot of these stuff that we get is also available in the US, but their version, so like a US Galaxy is not like ours. Whereas ours is made of sex and you can eat it. The American one is basically dog poop in a brick. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll go and sort my tea out. I'll have my noodles and that. And I shall see you in a bit. So I shall say, until a bit later on this evening, take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Not this. Go be awesome. You already are. And I shall say, adios amoebas, till a bit later on.